Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've been meaning to do a 6-7 month review on this aferiy P310, and I didn't want to do the review until I'd used this product for ages and found out all of the faults and problems and everything else. It's not a sponsored video, so this is my honest opinion. I paid for this myself. It is a budget brand, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's um, poor or it's you know it does have its problems, and I think one of them could be potentially fatal in the wrong hands, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But don't forget to follow on, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you see when a new video is going to get uploaded. So yeah, I mentioned it in the introduction about a potentially fatal problem with this, and I did a little bit of digging, and I went onto all of the bigger channels that have been sent these units for free, and no one has mentioned it, not one. And it is a bit of a unique fault. I've got my multimeter out, and I'm going to show you what the issue is. And it's currently connected to the AC charging plug, which is here, and I've got my probes on the live and earth on the plug at the moment, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to talk a little bit about the other issues that I've encountered with this unit. I've reached out to aferiy about it, and they said, yeah, we're aware of them. We'll print a return label and return the product, but it's never straightforward to return one of these. I have had good experiences with sending things back, and I wish they were all like that, but they're not. So we'll start with the first issue, and it was the first thing I noticed was the MPPT charge controller in this is very poor. It takes forever to switch on, and I know some of the other reviewers out there haven't seen any issues. Most of the time, it's because they're not in the room when the sun comes up, where the sun goes down. Where this is in my kitchen, I see it every day, and as soon as the sun goes down, you hear this very loud click, 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 while the voltage is dropping, but it's not enough to switch the unit off, and it's kind of in between switching on and off. And it's the same when the sun comes up. It's not enough current to actually switch the unit on completely, so you hear that click, 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 until the current, the amps, is strong enough to actually switch the unit on. Now, whether it's the amps or the voltage, I don't know. But yeah, very, very poor MPPT charge controller. The way I got around it was I fitted an MCB, and I'll show you the one that I fitted. These are very good. I fitted this to the solar input between the XD90 and the MC4 connectors coming from the solar array, and all I do is when the sun looks like it's getting low, I just switch it off. So I flip the MCB, and you don't get that annoying click. And I do the same in the morning. I put it on when the sun's up at its relevant position to actually switch it on. And if you had this in a camp van or an RV, then you're definitely going to need one of these to switch it on and off, because you're never going to sleep through how loud the clicking is. So yeah, that's the first problem. The second problem is the screen. It's a cheap screen, and the pixels in the screen, after about 3 months, I think it's 2 months even, the screen went faulty, and I can only see some of the numbers. And again, after I was like, yeah, send it back. And I was like, well, it's not a big enough problem at the moment for me to want to send it back, because it was such a big hassle. So then I'm going to come on to the last problem, and I think this is a fault that I'm not going to be able to live with, and this aferiy P310 is going to have to go back, because the issue that it's got could potentially stop someone's heart. And I'm going to show you the issue right now. Right, so the unit's on at the moment, and I've got my probes attached to the AC charging plug, and you can see that it's got minimal voltage running through those plugs at the moment. So now I'm going to switch on the AC inverter, and you can see how that changes. So hopefully you can see that clearly, and all I've done is switch on the AC inverter, but there's no load on the inverter at the moment, and it's reading 83 volts coming off those probes. So yeah, hopefully you can see that now. I'm running a load off the AC inverter, and I've got 102 volts coming off that AC plug. Right, so now we've got a load, we've got a charger, and we've got a kettle on the inverter, and I'm going to show you how many amps is actually coming from that AC charging plug.
So yeah, DC amps, it's shot straight up to 25, and now I'm going to change to AC, and we're getting 12 amps AC coming off that plug.
So yeah, I've just shown you the problem that I'm shocked. I really am. And the only reason why I found this fault was because I was running my tumble dryer, and the AC charging plug, this one here, it was plugged into the unit, but it was just dangling down. And I picked it up, thinking nothing of it really, just to put it out of the way. And as I picked that plug up, I got a big electric shock off of it. And you know, you've seen the amps coming off of this plug while it's under load, and that's easily enough to kill someone and stop their heart outright. You know, you're talking at 112 volts AC, you're getting anywhere between 10 and 12 amps coming off those, and you're also getting a DC current coming off that, ranging of around about 40 amps. So, you know, I'm going to reach out to aferiy and give them a chance to return this unit. I'm not sure if I'm going to ask for a replacement or a refund. I suspect that there are more units out there with this issue. I did do a little bit of Googling, and the AI search came up with this problem where you kind of get a pass through the inverter back through to the charging plug. So if you've got one of these units, whether it's from aferiy, FuzzyBot, EcoFlow, Bluetti, I would run the exact same test on the charging plug and see if, when you're running a load from the output, the AC output plug, whether you're getting a pass through to the AC charging plug. Because if you are, then all these units are potentially deadly. So I'm going to move on to the positives of the unit now. And it's very quiet. It's a nice quiet unit. It's a powerful inverter. It'll happily run at 3,600 watts until battery's down to 0. You do get a voltage drop as it's getting closer to the end of the capacity. So the closer you're getting to 0, you do get a voltage drop, and it drops from sort of 230 volts down to about 222 volts. But the inverter is quite good. I've run a welder off of it and all kinds of things in my tumble dryer. The efficiency is very good. I scored 94% efficiency on this when I did a discharge capacity test, which is exceptional. And the other thing is the remote function on the app is also very good. So there are some major flaws, some big negatives, but there are some big positives as well. The other big positive is the price. This thing is cheap in comparison with an EcoFlow. It's you could probably get it half the price of an EcoFlow. So yeah, I hope that helps. Check your units. That's all I would say. Do the tests. You know, don't take for granted sponsored videos where they say how amazing these units are, and you know, they get them all for free. You know, they don't pay for them, so they're not going to say anything negative. So I hope it helps. Please check your machines and do your due diligence with safety when handling these things, because they are potentially dangerous. Okay, so yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along.